Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carolina Disco Turkey Baseball here on YouTube. As the Carolina Disco Turkeys tonight begin the final homestand of the 2022 season, taking on the Greensboro Yard Goats for the third time this summer. I'm Justin Zimmer here with you tonight. As we mentioned just a few seconds ago, this is the third meeting of these two ball clubs, and all three meetings have come really, if you want to consider the season as a book, beginning, middle, and end. Start off at the beginning. This was the first meeting, and it was the season opener for the Carolina Disco Turkeys. They fell to the Greensboro Yard Goats by a final score of 9-3, and that was the night for the Carolina Disco Turkeys where they had just met literally the day before, and then first game go out the next night and try to perform in front of a good crowd here at Truist Stadium back on May 27th. The Disco Turkeys fell 9-3, and you saw that it was the first game of the summer as you saw a lot of the substitutions made in the fifth inning. No pitcher really went beyond 3 innings. The only pitcher that night that went 3 innings was Gavin Bird. Everybody else would go 2 innings, an inning. Some pitchers only went a couple thirds of an inning. So that first game was kind of a warm-up test for everybody. And then you go to the middle meeting back on June 24th, back in Danville, Virginia. One of the barnstorming games. Carolina won that game. The Disco Turkeys defeated the Yard Goats that night by a final score of 5-1. And you go back to that ball game. That was right when Scott Kirby took over this ball club, right after Kirk Cabana made his way up to Ancilia College in Indiana. And the Disco Turkeys that night, they struck early, got two in the first, then got a run in the fourth. Greensboro would only put up one run that night in the fifth, and then two more in the bottom half of the eighth for the Disco Turkeys. But Carolina defeat the Yard Goats by a final score of 5-1. If you look back on the story of that night, got to give Aiden McAllister a lot of credit. Led the team in hits, 2 hits, no RBIs, but Cameron Lee with 2 RBIs. So Disco Turkeys had some offensive production. Cameron Lee took one deep for a home run, and then Dawson Neal gave this team a good outing. He went 4 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no earned, 5 walks, and a strikeout. And then Riley Ledford as well also carried the bulk of the load in that ball game. He went 3 innings, recorded a walk and a strikeout, and the Carolina would win their first matchup with the Yard Goats on the summer, tying the season series at 1 game apiece. You head into tonight, much different circumstances for the Carolina Disco Turkeys. Right now, you're at the end of the season. A lot of players have had chances to develop throughout the summer. And now tonight, it's getting ready for Johnstown. And why not face the team that you've seen 3 times and really kind of bookend your season, even though you got one game tomorrow night against the Charlotte Blaze. And for the Carolina Disco Turkeys tonight, they'll have a brand new pitcher, Tyler Lloyd. He was supposed to pitch yesterday. That game obviously got rained out after 2 pitches with Josh Deloriers, and Deloriers only pitched 2 pitches, and that was the ball game as it kept downpouring and on a night last night where it was off and on with the rain. So that game does not count for the record book. And so the last game the Carolina Disco Turkeys played by official standards was back on Tuesday, the 26th, against the Asheboro Zookeepers before taking on the Greensboro Yard Goats tonight. So for the Disco Turkeys, it's crunch time right now. You're getting ready to head into Johnstown. The record 15-21-2, but the Disco Turkeys at home are phenomenal. They got majority of their wins, roughly 9 to 10 wins, because you had that one rainout. If you want to count the rainout, it'd be 10. But without the rainout, it's 9 wins. So Carolina, very good at this ballpark or any time that the members of the Ostentation Nation can watch their Disco Turkeys play at home. And there's a good crowd on hand tonight for ladies' night here at the ballpark. And the Disco Turkeys hope to entertain the fans in attendance, put up another win. But Tyler Lloyd, he'll make his first start of the summer. And there was some questions today about, do you start Andrew Poon? Andrew Poon was the scheduled starter a night ago, and with really him not throwing a pitch, but he had warmed up twice, hadn't thrown a pitch, and twice in about a 40 minute to an hour interval. I talked to Scott Kirby before the game, and he's like, well, Poon's got to pitch tonight, but he's going to come out in relief. So Andrew Poon will appear tonight. We don't know when. The Disco Turkeys tonight have a lot of depth available to them at pitcher, so we'll see how Carolina wants to manage this ball game. As it, when you look at the lineup card, you only have 2 position players available, and then 7, 8 pitchers available for you tonight. So, and you have a game tomorrow, so you're gonna have to figure out: do you save some guys for tomorrow, keep them available tonight, or do you play it kind of how you did the first game, try to get everybody in, but then you got Johnstown next week. Again, roster has to be cut down to 20, and that was also a conversation with Scott Kirby today, and he's like telling all his position players, I'm going to need all of you guys to play at least every single day with the depth of how their roster is going to be constructed for that tournament. So right now, Carolina is making a lot of decisions because you want to be healthy. You don't want to have any tired arms. You have full play on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then you head into the single elimination phase of the tournament as the umpires will make their way out for the meeting with the coaches. Let's give you the starting lineup tonight for the Greensboro Yard Goats, the visitors. Leading off will be Jason Reyes. He's over at third base. Bobby Amato batting second over at shortstop. Marquise Riley batting third over at second base. Eric Gonzalez batting fourth out in left field. Batting fifth, Ty Moore out in right field. Batting sixth, the DH, Patrick Kuntz. Batting seventh, Valilio Diaz, the center fielder. Batting eighth, Luke Wilheim. He's over at first base. And batting ninth, Adam Hutchins. He is the catcher. The starting pitcher tonight for the Greensboro Yard Goats is Tyler LaQuire. And let's give you the Carolina Disco Turkeys starting lineup. Once again, the Disco Turkeys are under the helm of head coach Scott Kirby and assisted by pitching coach A.J. Lewis. Leading off tonight is Josh Deloriers. He's out in left field. Dion Tubbs batting second out in center. Kierman Breckbuell batting third and right. Aiden McAllister batting fourth. He is the extra hitter on the night. Carolina going with 10 hitters again. Tanner Bray batting fifth. He is the designated hitter. Batting sixth, Max Gustafson. He's over at shortstop. Bentley Yates batting seventh over at second base. Jonathan Barhan, the catcher, batting eighth. Batting ninth, Dino Tharp over at first base. And then rounding out the batting order tonight is Nico Noto. He's over at third base. So that is the lineup for the Carolina Disco Turkeys taking on the Greensboro Yard Goats for the third meeting of the summer. When we come back, first pitch, the Disco Turkeys and the Yard Goats next, right here on YouTube.